Last time I was pop culture defender. This time I want to be more of an investigator and ask some questions instead of trying to defend pop culture. And so I have a series of questions we'll talk about. So last time I made fun of agency people, and now this time I'll make fun of myself. But I was actually, some people thought I was hot back then. The point I want to make here is, though, that shirt, Metallica Ride the Lightning, if I still had all my heavy metal shirts from back then, I could open my own Hot Topic, or even Melrose Boutique. Because seriously, if you go there, they're selling these shirts for about $85 a pop, because look who's wearing them. Lindsay Lohan and this girl that Justin's got a Jones for. Really what's going on here is that style is cyclical. If you think about it, waves. Like in the 70s, the 50s were kind of trendy. You had Fonzie, Happy Days, Grease, Sha Na Na. And in the 80s, you had a 60s revival where tie-dye came back, the Grateful Dead got a new batch of fans. There was these neo-hippie movements like Hands Across America and the Harmonic Convergence. And that great movie Flashback with Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland brought it back. And it continues today. In 2006, there's a lot of 80s things going on. And musically, there's synth pop and proto-new wave and post-punk and a bunch of other things that Evan probably writes about in his blog. And in movies, we're making all the 80s shows. Dukes of Hazzard, Miami Vice, Magnum P.I., Dallas is coming out. And fashion, we already talked about the metal shirts and the big belts, but there's definitely an 80s revival going on with that. And what really happens is we bring things back, whether they're really worthy to bring back or not, because they remind us of a past or they can kind of have a kitsch factor to them. And retro is really related to camp or kitsch, which are other kind of cute journalist terms. And a good quote about camp came from Susan Sontag, who basically says that over time, things get a free pass. So if something was lame back then, we kind of remember it fondly and we'll bring it back and make it more important. Which is why I think some of us have fondness, like that Snake guy, for Kiss, or the Smurfs, or even Screech from Saved by the Bell. They tend to take on a little bit more relevance over time. It got me thinking, what is the current decade really about? When people look back at us now, what are they going to say about it? And I have a hard time getting a grasp on it. Even the name of what the decade's called is kind of a question. What a decade looks like, and I'm curious about that. And if you look at someone like this couple could have easily been 2006 or 1997. I just don't have a grasp, and asking as an investigator what people think about that. I think that these kids are famous before they make their first step. So imagine 20 years from now how famous they're going to be. And imagine, if you're in the year 2026 and you're reading page 6, some of the blurbs you might see, such as, last night at iPod, the Audie's Retro Club, Suri Cruise, star of the recent Mean Girls remake, and rumored paramour of Michael Douglas, who's now 117, was canoodling with Moses Martin, lead singer of Robotica. He, of course, was formerly linked to Zahara, Jolie, Pitt, Giuliani, Lachey, the face of Max Factor III Cosmetics. Meanwhile, at the Los Feliz Lakers game, the makeout plasma focused on young lovers Hazel Roberts, which is Julia Roberts' daughter, and Sean Preston Federline, a.k.a. Ed. It could happen. It very well could come to pass.